Malik Neighbors was obviously the star of the show in LSU's receiving corps this year, but people are starting to catch on to just how good their wide receiver 2, Brian Thomas Jr. was as well. He played a big part in Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy, and now we're seeing him shoot up draft boards as people begin to dive deeper and realize just how talented he really is. But where's he going to end up in the draft this year? Was he just a product of LSU's historic offense, or does he truly have what it takes to succeed at the next level? Today, we'll be diving into the positives and negatives that Thomas shows us on tape to determine just how good he could be in the NFL. Thomas's talent was on full display in 2023 as he finished the season with 1,177 receiving yards and led college football with a staggering 17 touchdowns through 13 games played. That production obviously didn't come by accident, so now we're going to need to dive into the positives of his tape to see what he already excels at prior to the draft. When watching Thomas, his speed immediately stands out as a major advantage for him over defenders. Time and time again, he was able to beat cornerbacks down the field, which is why he was able to put up the insane numbers that he did this season. And it's not just that he has adequate top-end speed to pull away from a defender, but it's also that he has great acceleration and burst to beat them with one step off of the line of scrimmage. He knows how to utilize his explosiveness in his release packages, and that makes it harder for defenders to press and jam him at the line of scrimmage. That's commonly a weaker area for speedy receivers, so it's good to see that he has at least a couple of moves to avoid contact at the line, although he still needs a lot more work with fine-tuning that area of his game. Beyond that, it was good to see that he can make cuts very well despite his size. His route running overall is just kind of okay, but he's able to cut sharply on a dime at the top of his routes, which is an encouraging sign that he'll be able to develop into a better route runner in the future. He already has smooth movements on both a linear and a lateral plane, which is an advantage over a lot of the other receivers in this class who are more one-dimensional with their movements. I mentioned that a lot of the things that he does as an athlete are impressive because of his size, and that's because he stands at 6'4", 205 pounds. That's a really good build for an outside receiver in the NFL, and combined with the great athleticism that we've already talked about, that'll give him a high ceiling and great versatility within whatever offense he gets drafted into. Some people like to claim that he's not very good at contested catches, but I'm not sure I agree with that. I saw him make multiple big-time plays over a defender and through contact last year, and his official contested catch win percentage came out to be 53.8% on the year, which is top 10 and better than players like Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Troy Franklin, and Keon Coleman, who are all known for being able to go up and over defenders. So, if all these things are true, what's actually stopping him from hitting that ceiling? Does he have any major concerns heading into the pre-draft process, or is he going to rise up and claim the wide receiver 4 or even wide receiver 3 spot prior to draft night? Well, to find out, we'll now need to dive into the negatives of his game to see what could possibly go wrong for him at the next level. The main thing that people tend to hold against him is that his route tree was extremely limited at LSU, and I agree with that. He wasn't asked to run a variety of routes, and most of his production came off of simple concepts like streaks, curls, and slants. Obviously, that worked out very well for him in college, but when he gets to the NFL, he's going to have a very limited role if he doesn't learn how to thrive in an offensive system with more nuance. Part of that will be dependent on what scheme he gets drafted into and whether or not that coaching staff is competent and patient enough to help him develop properly. Another thing that can be said against him is that he greatly benefited from his situation on LSU's offense. He usually didn't have to face the opposing defense's top cornerback thanks to Malik Neighbors lining up on the opposite side of the ball and taking away a lot of the defense's attention. He also had the Heisman winning quarterback throwing him the ball all year, which helped him to get some great passes to work with. Obviously, there's nothing he could do to control that, but it's still worth noting because playing against weaker competition with a nearly flawless quarterback throwing you the ball makes it a lot easier to dominate in the box score. I talked earlier about how he has a couple of effective releases against press coverage, and that's true, but the problem is that that's about all he has. He doesn't effectively use his hands to beat defenders at the line of scrimmage, and an NFL cornerback could find it easy to jam him up at the line if he isn't able to deepen his bag of release moves. He's got all the tools to do it, but his experience with press coverage in college was limited at best, so it's something he'll have to continue working on. The last thing that I'll mention is that he's just okay after the catch. He's not bad by any means, but I expected more from a guy that looks this explosive. He'll often go down on first contact and just doesn't seem to have the creativity or drive to make defenders miss in the open field. It's a little disappointing to see because in theory, he has all the athletic tools he needs to be great after the catch, but on tape, he just isn't. There's a lot to like about Brian Thomas Jr. He's a hell of an athlete, with his big frame and long arms pairing perfectly with good speed in the open field to create a nightmare for cornerbacks. His explosiveness adds another dimension to his game, and he put up some absolutely dominant numbers in 2023 to prove just how good he is. However, I still think that he has a long way to go before I can consider him an elite prospect. He doesn't play up to his size when pressed on the line, and I think that that could lead to some issues for him at the next level. He was also just very limited in the role that he played, which might be my main issue with him. He ran very simple routes and never had to develop the technique that he'll need if he wants to succeed in the NFL, and his bag of release moves is incredibly shallow, which may lead to him struggling on the outside early on in his professional career. I'm officially giving him a mid-second round grade for the draft this year. I like to think of him as a block of marble. All of the tools are there for him to succeed, but he needs to be sculpted and refined if he wants to reach his true potential. I don't think that he'll be a strong contributor in the NFL in his first season or two, but he has a sky-high ceiling thanks to his athleticism and could develop into one of the league's best under the right system. I'm hoping for the best for him, and I can't wait to watch him continue to pursue greatness in the NFL for years to come. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out the other videos on this page. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye.